Hi everyone, I'm Mark Cook. I'm the CEO of Shiny Shoe. We are the creators of Monster Train. And today, of course, we've just launched our new update, Friends and Foes, and I just showed off our release trailer for that, which adds a significant amount of new content to the game. I know you've just seen some with Andrew playing just a minute ago, if you've watched the previous stream, that is. If you're just joining me now, I know Andrew played a kind of like more advanced kind of session. We're going to take it a little bit easy on this stream for the next hour to introduce the game to some new players and to also show off some of the new content. So if you don't know what Monster Train is about at all, let's just start there briefly. It's a deck building card game that's sort of a blend between like a deck building card game that you may be familiar with, like Slay the Spire, and kind of this tower defense concept where you're trying to defend your pyre, which is something that is precious. You want to protect it. It's the energy source of your train in hell, and you're trying to get all the way to the center of hell to restore the flame and restore the power. So, and this train, it's a vertical train. It's a weird train. It's a crazy one. The pyre's at the top. Enemies coming at the bottom. You got to protect your pyre. Let's see what the game looks like and jump over. All right. Yeah, so Friends and Foes, big new content update, 5 new champions. Monster Train is a game about monsters on a big train. And it's filled with monster clans. There are 5 clans in Monster Train. We've got the Hellhorned, the Awoken, the Stygian Guard, the Umbra, and the Melting Remnant. And you mix and match between a primary clan and an allied clan, which affects the starting conditions of your deck. And it affects the types of things that can appear during your run. And the big kind of focus on the Friends side of the Friends and Foes update is the addition of new champions. So previously, the Hornbreaker Prince here was the only champion option for the Hellhorn clan. Sometimes he's known as Frank, but we've added the Shardtail Queen, a new champion, and each of the new champions has a different starting card. That was not the case for Frank over here, the Hornbreaker Prince. He starts with Torch, which is a simple direct damage spell, but the Shardtail Queen starts with the Queen's Impling, which is a unit you can summon into your train that deals 10 damage to the front when it's summoned. By the way, I'm happy to take questions as we play as well, and I see that there are 2 here, and one of my helpers, Genesee, is helping. Thank you very much, Genesee, for helping get these questions over to me. Here's a fantastic username. LaserSchlong69 asks, favorite exiled champion? Well, let's look at them all. It's a good opportunity to go through them. So we've got the Shardtail Queen here with her Queen's Impling. This is Wildington. I'm still debating how I want to refer to this guy, but okay, I'm going to call him Wildington. He seems kind of wild. It's filled with vines. He's a big dude. 3 capacity. Capacity is a resource in Monster Train for how many units can fit in a room on the train, in a train car, you could say. So he's bigger capacity and starts with Root Seeds. Apply +2 attack and draw an extra card this turn, which is different than Sentient, who starts with a healing spell called Restore. So I like Wildington. I do. Soul Guard, the Martyr, who's this squid dude we're looking at here. He's pretty sweet, too. Unlike Tethys Titan's Bane, who starts with Frozen Lance, deals 6 damage to front enemy unit. Soul Guard starts with Foregone Power. Apply Frostbite 6 to the front enemy unit and discard a card at random. I mean, I think Soul Guard is definitely one of the cooler ones. And all champions, if you're not familiar with Monster Train, they all have unique upgrade paths. There's multiple unique upgrade paths that you kind of customize your champion during the run. So for us to see those, we'd have to start the run, but I think his upgrade paths are pretty interesting, so I do like Soul Guard for sure. And this is Primordium. He has a unique mechanic that is brand new to this update. It's a new keyword called buffet. So Primordium, one of the themes of the Umbra clan, if you're not familiar with the game, is like eating these little morsels, they're called. In the card Plink, you can kind of see them dropping a little rock there. These little cute little guys, little dust mote looking guys. And Primordium is like a big mega morsel. And buffet means he can be eaten more than once. And so his upgrade paths are all about different sorts of ways of transferring his power to other units, which is kind of a mind bender. So I really like Primordium. There's some, in the kind of like public test we did before launching the update, there's definitely a lot of like debate. Is Primordium good, yes or no? There's some people say he's definitely not. Some people say he's overpowered. So usually that means it's like, maybe it's in an okay place balance-wise currently. So I do like Primordium too. And also here is Little Fade. Little Fade is the new champion for the Melting Remnant. Rector Flicker starts with a unit, the Dreg, but Little Fade starts with Primitive Mold, a spell, reform a random unit. And reform is a game mechanic that allows you to bring units back from the dead in a battle. And Little Fade's upgrades benefit you if you reform her, so they're kind of thematically linked in that way. So of all of them, I think my favorite new champion is probably Solgard the Martyr. So let's play him. And we have to think about what our allied clan is going to be. You could always go with random, so you'll never know. And for experienced players of Monster Train, one thing we changed about how the random feature works is it will randomly select amongst the other available allied clans, and it also randomizes the exiled status, which is essentially choosing, for your allied clan, it's choosing which starter card you're going to get. So if my allied clan was the Melting Remnant, I would either get Dreg or Primitive Mold. So yeah, let's randomize it. We'll see what we get. All right, let's see, what other questions we have? Inhaled Parasite. Will there be a monster truck? There really should be. I mean, why not? Yeah, it could drive down the track too. Seems good. Or even go off-road. Maybe find some new types of battles or rewards and so on. And to make this run kind of even more beginner-friendly and easy, let's go with Covenant Disabled. So I should be able to win this. I really hope that that's true as a member of the development team, but let's give it a shot. And one last thing before we start. K-Blaze 009, if the prince is Frank, what is the queen's name? I don't think we have established a meme community name for the Shardtail Queen yet, so if you want to propose something, please do. I'm sure there are willing ears waiting to listen to interesting ideas. Anywho, all right. So here's something also new in the update. We always show you in Monster Train who you are going to be fighting as the final boss of the current run. So it's a run-based game. Because it allows you to strategize for the end game right from the start if you pay attention to it. And so we don't expect new players to pay a ton of attention to it just because you're learning the ropes of the game. But as you play more, you'll start to understand those sorts of things. And so we are going to be facing Seraph the Diligent. And you can hover almost anything in Monster Train to read tooltips about what it's all about. So Seraph the Diligent has a power called the Draining Emblem. The first spell card played each turn gets Consume. And Consume is a mechanic that makes it so that you can't use the card again that battle. There's ways to combat that, but that's the kind of default way how it works. It says it right there. Consume can only be played once per battle. So let's look at our deck. It looks like we ended up getting Melting Remnant as our allied clan, and we got the exiled version. So we've got 5 copies of Foregone Power, and we've got 5 copies of Primitive Mold, and we've got Train Stewards, which every deck in Monster Train starts with this card in it. It's a simple unit, 5 attack, 8 health, that lets you establish some quote-unquote board presence in the terrain. And then we're facing 2 other bosses. So this is a new feature here. We added showing off the other kind of like major bosses of the run. This is partially because we added new versions of them. Or we added new bosses. This is the foes in the Friends and Foes update. So we got Talos, the Architect, which is one of the new bosses. And she attacks and applies special effects when she attacks. So this one has a slay trigger. So when she kills somebody, she gains armor, which is essentially extra hit points. And at ring 6, we will be facing the 6th Ring of Hell. We'll be facing Fel, who is the original boss here, and which every one of these big bosses has a variation. So we're going to be getting the Scouring Crest version. So our deck is going to get junked up with cards that we don't want. So we'll see how that plays out. All right. Let's get going. So at the start of every run, you get an artifact, and you get to visit the Dark Forge to upgrade your champion. So we'll get to see some of Solgard's upgrade paths. I always pick my artifact first. So we've got two options. We've got Memorial Fund, gain 5 gold when a friendly unit dies. We might be able to make use of this, good use of it. We do have a bunch of reform cards that bring units back, but we don't have like really a bunch of weak units that die frequently, so that one might not be great. And we've got Sigiled Seaweed, 50% chance to apply silence when an enemy unit enters your terrain, and silence disables triggered abilities. So silence can be really good, so I'm going to go for that on this particular run. If I was playing the Umbra clan, or if I had the other Melting Remnant starter card, the Dreg, I might have gone for Memorial Fund, but not this time. All right. And here we are in the Dark Forge. We've got the 2 upgrade paths here that we can choose from. So every champion has 3 upgrade paths. You don't always see them in all runs. It's just another thing that increases the variability of the game. So we got Dire Channel and Cold Channel are the 2 options this time. So Dire Channel, action. Or every version of Solgard has an incant trigger. So incant means every time you play a spell, he gains Shard. And Shard is just something that powers his abilities. So this Dire Channel version, on his turn, he deals 3 damage per shard to the front enemy unit. And Cold Channel, Revenge, which means when he's hit, he applies Frostbite per shard to enemy units. So we do have a lot of Frostbite with all this foregone power here. And so this is more of like the Cold Channel path, more of like a tank path, frontline tank, and the Dire Channel path is more of a like hide in the back and try to build up the damage on this. So yeah, which one should we try? I know the Cold Channel path in the pre-release beta was like super overpowered, so it's been reduced in power a number of times and kind of had some design changes to it to try to make it more balanced. Let's give it a try. Let's see if we can make it work. All right, and then now we're going to go into the first Ring of Hell, the first battle of the game. All right. Every time before a battle, if this is your first time seeing Monster Train, you can optionally enable a trial, which increases the difficulty, and if you enable it, you get a reward. So we're going to be facing these enemies here, which we can check out, take a look at, and we can enable the armor emblem if we want. So enemy units enter with armor 10, and we get a unit draft to draft a new unit card into our deck, which we don't have any good units. So yeah, I'm tempted. Let's take that. Let's take that trial. Puffy Sama says, how does Plink work? So Plink is the new starter card for the Umbra. And basically it randomly deals damage. So it randomly deals damage to 2 targets. It can be the same target. And if it kills a target, you get a morsel. And a morsel is a card that can be played. It's a unit that enters your train that can then be eaten. So Plink scales really well with magic power, just because it increases the damage significantly. But it can be slightly hard to use because of its random nature. So it's a little bit of a different strategy. It gives you like some direct damage in the Umbra clan immediately at the start of your run, but it takes away the kind of 100% reliable ability to generate morsels from Shade Splitter, which is the original starting card. All right. Okay, so Solgard's, he's got a Revenge trigger. We've got 3 spells in hand, so we can do something with that. So let's do it. So we're going to play, what do we want to play first? We're going to play the Train Steward. I'm going to put him behind my champion. So if you haven't seen Monster Train before, just trying to explain some of the basics too. When I hit end turn, these enemies that have entered the train are going to attack first. And this guy looks kind of funny because he's been silenced by our artifact, Sigiled Seaweed. The enemies attack first, and then our units attack back. Solgard has no damage, and he has a Revenge trigger, though, which is that one we just chose in the upgrade. So Revenge is a trigger that happens when he is damaged. It'll apply Frostbite 1 per shard to enemy units. So we actually want him to get damaged here. We don't have any healing, which is a problem, so he only has 15 life. He's not going to be super tanky here. So we'll see how this goes. I'm going to cast Foregone Power and hope it discards Primitive Mold because we don't need that. It did, thank you. So now we got 12 Frostbite stacked up. onto this enemy. He's going to take 12 damage at the end of the turn, and then it decreases to 11, and so on. He's going to take a little bit more frostbite when he attacks me here, so we'll see how that plays out. And it hit both of those guys, so that's good. Unfortunately, because of the armor, it didn't actually kill this Trusted Priest. Thankfully, this one got silenced, which will disable his healing ability. Alright, is there any way... These little collectors pop up from time to time in Monster Train, and if you kill them, you gain gold. So, I don't think I have any way to kill him this time. Even if I played my Train Steward in here, it's not really going to help. Might as well do it. Yep. Not working there. Alright. DMRT2 says, which upgrade path of Little Fade do you prefer to choose? I feel like I haven't really mastered Little Fade yet. Little Fade can be really good, but it does feel like right now, my perception of it is it's more of like a, it requires kind of like more expert level play to play it correctly. At least that's kind of the perception I got from the public beta and the feedback that we got on the update. So I feel like I haven't mastered Little Fade yet. I haven't played enough runs, so I'm still exploring. So I'm sorry that doesn't answer your question super well, but yeah, there's a number of different possibilities, as I'm sure you know if you're asking. All right, what else are we going to do here? I want to get more shard, so I'm going to continue to try to stack that up here. All right, K-Blaze009, spicy question. Who do you think is the strongest and weakest exiled champion at the moment? So Andrew, who was streaming before me, would know better because he often looks at all of our kind of analytics data where we're tracking things like pick rates and win rates and so on and so forth for Monster Train. I haven't looked at that recently, but I know, we try to make it so nothing is like ridiculously overpowered is, one of our goals, such that it's like has a much higher win rate than everything else. We do want things to be overpowered sometimes because that can be really fun if you're able to build your deck to kind of get there. But we want things to be in balance. So I would guess, Soulguard the Martyr was definitely the strongest champion for a long time in the update. However, especially the cold channel path, it did get some nerfs, so I don't know if that's still true. I think we have to see, because some of those changes happened right before the update launched, so I'm not sure if we actually know right now. All right, let's see. Let us try to stack up some more of this here. I'm going to get some more shard. There we go. Our Frostbite is actually killing these guys off up here, which is great. Alright, that guy's not a threat. He has no attack. And then in terms of the weakest champion, I think, yeah, like I was just saying, Little Fade, I think people have the hardest time wrapping their head around, it seems. It just has very different mechanics. And to effectively use Little Fade, requires you to think a little bit differently about how you approach the game. But it does seem to be pretty darn strong, so I would recommend giving it a shot. And just trying to think outside the box as you use Little Fade. All right, so looks good. Our boss preview is already showing that he's going to die. Soulguard's going to soak up some front hits, but that's okay because we have a lot of Frostbite stacked up. All right, great. So we finished level 1. Alrighty, what do we want? So we get card picks every time you finish a level. What do we have here? Energy Siphon. Apply spell weakness 1 to an enemy unit. We don't have any direct damage spells right now. We've got Titan's Gratitude. Deal 25 damage to the front enemy unit and discard a card at random. And this has a new keyword that was added in the update. Attuned. And attuned is something that we added to some cards that we felt did not scale well enough in the late game. So attuned means effects of magic power are multiplied by 5. So if I buy the upgrade to add 10 magic power to this card, it actually adds 50 damage instead of 10. So that's interesting. And Helical Crystallis. Deal 25 damage to the front enemy unit twice, which would combo well with Energy Siphon. But we can only pick one. So what do I want? Energy Siphon is also nice because it costs 0, so it helps build shard triggers for Soulguard. We already have a lot of stuff that does discard with foregone power, so Titan's Gratitude isn't super juicy to me. Let's go for Helical Crystallis. Let's see if we can make that work. All right, and we get to choose a card from our allied clan too, which is the Melting Remnant. Definitely somewhat of a weird combo here. Molded allows you to reform a unit. The difference between molded and primitive mold, molded is better for sure. Primitive mold, you can't choose who you want to reform, but with molded you can. So, however, we already have so much reform, I don't think I'm picking that. When you reform a unit, they come back with burnout, and there are other ways for units to have burnout, but that's one way, which means they die after a number of turns. So hallowed drippings would allow you to mitigate against that, but that's not really something that I feel like we need so much. And we've got Purifying Cleanse, restore 10 health, and apply Burnout 2 to a friendly unit. So having some healing is great to keep Soul Guard healthy. However, adding Burnout 2 to him means he would die in 2 turns unless we can add more Burnout, because he doesn't have any Burnout initially. So Purifying Cleanse seems kind of interesting to try. It's going to be risky. We're going to need more ways to get more Burnout. So like Hallowed Drippings would actually be okay too. But let's try it. Let's give it a shot. I think it's the only card that we're going to see that provides healing between these two clans. I think that is the only healing card in the Stygian Guard and Melting Remnant, so let's give it a try. All right, and because we took the trial, we get to pick a unit. So we've got some options here. Icy Silliphite, strike, apply Spell Weakness. Cold Salia, strike, apply Frostbite 3, and Siren of the Sea on Incant whenever we use a spell, +2/+2. I mean, we're going hard on Frostbite right now, so I'm feeling like we might as well just go all in and go with Cold Salia. We might also get an artifact that boosts Frostbite. If we do, that would be awesome. I don't know if we will, but let's go for that. Okay, so then, if you're new to Monster Train, on every run, you get to choose a path. So when we were first in Limbo, crossing into the first Ring of Hell, you don't get to choose. You just get to, well, you choose your rewards, but you don't choose a path. So on all future kind of Rings of Hell, we get to choose where we want to go next. So do we want to go to the Merchant of Magic, where we can upgrade our spells and see if we want to pick a new Stygian unit, or do we want to go left to pick a Remnant unit and upgrade our units? So I think at this point, the thing that I would really want to make Purifying Cleanse work better, I would love to have the holdover upgrade on Purifying Cleanse, because that means I could cast it every single turn. Because it keeps coming back into your hand, essentially. That would mean I could keep using it to heal Soul Guard and keep the burnout would be mitigated. It would take up a card draw slot because it just basically puts it back on top of your deck. So that's a downside, but that seems like it could be good. However, I don't know if I have enough coin. I got 100 coins. 100 gold, I think we call it coins. Coin. Let's try. We have to get lucky here because I can't re-roll the upgrade. So, yes! Ask and ye shall receive. Keepstone. Upgrade a spell to gain holdover. Let's do it. Let's put it on there. Awesome. Can't believe that worked. Yeah, there's a bunch of different possible upgrades for spells, and if you don't like what you see, the 3 options that you're offered, there's always 2 of the more common options and then a rare option. The holdover one is considered a rare upgrade. You can pay once per merchant to re-roll the options if you don't like them. So there's a cost associated with that. You can also purge cards and get rid of them out of your deck at any merchant. I would love to do that, but we're out of coin, so we cannot. And let's see, are there any of these units that we would like? So the Titan Sentry is interesting. He does actually something that's fairly similar to what Soul Guard does, and so he could blast up even more Frostbite for us. And we've got Nameless Siren and can't gain Rage 2. So I'm going all in on Frostbite here. So do I want to take that guy? Yes or no? I mean, he's definitely got some overlap with what Soul Guard does, but seems good. It was Shark Week 2 weeks ago or something. Let's go with the Shark. All right. Question from Genesee. If you use a card that forces you to discard something and there is nothing to discard, does it still work? Yes, it does. Yeah, it still casts. So if that's the last card in your hand and you cast it, it still does cast, and then there's nothing to discard, so there's no downside. So it can be good to try to time your discard cards that way if it makes sense for the cards in your hand. All right, Pyre Absorbers. This jerk here. The High Priest of the Light has sweep, which means when he attacks, it hits everybody in the room, which is interesting. Non-boss enemy units get +4 attack for another unit draft. I don't need another unit right now, I don't think. I think I've got 2 good ones now, so I'm going to not take that one. Oh, good. And this guy got silenced because he had an incant trigger. Okay. We'll play Soul Guard. I'm going to play the Titan Sentry up here because he needs to also get hit for his effect to be useful. Let's see. I am going to cast Foregone Power, hoping that it discards Primitive Mold, but it didn't. Either way, we're going to cast 2 spells. All right. All right, let's play Cold Salia too. All right. I think... Ooh. Okay, yeah. I was going to play Helical Crystallis, but I'm too greedy. I want that gold. Give me that gold. All right, I'm going to play this to get a shard. I'm going to play this. Okay, we're taking a decent amount of damage on Soul Guard already. That's not great. Sinister Hologram. When you have a fully upgraded card and then take event options that force additional upgrades, is there a limit on how many of those forced upgrades you can get on a card? The answer to that is no. So by default, all cards have a maximum of 2 upgrades you can put on them. So we've got the Keepstone on here. We can put 1 more upgrade on Purifying Cleanse at a merchant. However, there is one way to break that rule, which is what Sinister Hologram is referring to. In a Concealed Cavern, which is a type of event that can happen during your run, you sometimes get random. It's like a randomized set of events, and you never know which one you're going to see exactly. You can get one that can also put an upgrade on a card. You can go to 3 upgrades from that. You can go to 4 upgrades from that if you're lucky enough to run into 2 of those onto a single card. There's also an artifact, one for units and one for spells, that lets you go to 3 upgrades. So if you got all of those, I mean, you could get to 4 or 5 in a run, maybe 5 if you get everything perfectly aligned. And I'm sure that happens like 1 in a million type of chance, but it's possible. All right, so speaking of Purifying Cleanse, we did draw it. So we can heal Soul Guard, which is great. So it's going to put Burnout on him. And it also triggered Incant, which is nice. It adds more shard. But we're going to have it back in our hand again next turn. So let's see. Those guys are both dead. Let's just dump our spells. Get as many Incant as we can. Now, the danger here is that, you know, it's showing he's going to die from Burnout. So right now he's got Burnout 1. We're going to be able to cast it again. That's why we put Holdover on it. So let's do that. Okay, so he's going to get Burnout 3. So we are not going to kill the boss here with this room lineup. We can cast Primitive Mold, which we don't need to reform anybody, but it will add another shard, so that increase the amount of damage. And we can cast Foregone Power here as well. And now he's showing he's dead. So, cool. Everybody's going to die, and I guess the boss is going to die from Frostbite on his kind of last attack. For anybody new to Monster Train, the reason why this room has this special highlight, I didn't explain this last time, is that bosses don't climb up your train until either they're dead, which means you've won the level, or all of your units are dead. If all of your units die, then they blow up the room, they destroy it, you can't play in this room anymore, and then they climb. So that's called relentless. They just keep attacking. They relentlessly attack you until either they're dead or you are. All right, here we go. Pika 22123. When did the team come up with Primordium or something similar, and how long have they been considering it? Probably around 6 weeks ago, I think. Friends and Foes, or 8 weeks ago? 8 weeks ago. Let's say about 8 weeks ago. It was in development for about 2 months. And I'm not sure who on the team came up with that idea, but it's an interesting one for sure. I mean, Morsels was definitely like a dev team, one of the favorite kind of mechanics we have in the game, because it's so, I guess, unusual, it feels, eating these little guys that power you up. And so we wanted to try to come up with a way to extend that for use with a champion. And Primordium, I think he's got some pretty interesting upgrades. Like, I think we feel right now still they're like maybe a little bit too similar, and so we're trying to think of ways. We still intend to continue to patch and update the game. So if something proves to be underpowered or overpowered, or we just don't like it, we might change it in the future. So anyway, Primordium I think is going to be really interesting. I'm really excited to get more feedback as it now, since Friends and Foes is out, can get into more people's hands. All right, Joby93. Just when I thought I was done with this game after about 100 hours, y'all pull me back with this amazing update. Well, thank you. Thank you for all your hard work. Can't wait to try out these new champions. Well, thank you very much for the message. I hope you like the update. Yeah, one thing that we did do, I'll just throw this out here. It's kind of random. This is a change that we did in the update. Just as an example of changing things. We redesigned the Gnarled Root artifact completely. It used to give you more spikes when spikes were applied, but now friendly units get +1 attack per stack of spikes. So yeah, we just weren't happy where Gnarled Root was at, and thought it could be more interesting, so we redesigned it. So we may do that again. We'll see. All right, what are our options here? We can take Flash Freeze, deal 3 damage, and apply Frostbite 8, even more Frostbite! Let's do it! Another Purifying Cleanse, which is interesting. It increases the chance that we can use it and allows us to stack up Shard. Drip Fall, descend a unit and apply Dazed 1. So it's something that I was just thinking about Purifying Cleanse. A bit of a brain fart on my side. I forgot what Seraph we're going to be facing, our final boss. It's the Spell Devouring one, so even though we have Holdover on our Purifying Cleanse, if this is the first card I cast in a turn, it will be consumed, which means I can't use it again. So we have to be careful. I'm tempted to take it, because we're like, I know from having played the game that Soul Guard's going to get even more health, so even more healing could be useful. Let's try it. Let's just take it. See what happens. We're going to go all in on this kind of Frostbite healing strategy. Okay, so we've got 110 coins. If we go to the left, we can duplicate a card at the Helvet. Duplicate any card except my champion. If I was going to duplicate something right now, what would I duplicate? We could duplicate Purifying Cleanse again. Which might be interesting. Flash Freeze might be interesting. We definitely don't need another banner, though. Or we could go here, get another spell upgrade. Either path, we're going to be able to go to the Concealed Caverns. We also don't need Pyre Remains either. So, I guess my question is, do we want to go to the Merchant of Magic, or do we want to copy a card? It's really the decision here. Yeah, I'm worried about copying Purifying Cleanse because there can be too much of a good thing. I mean, if we're casting both, we're only going to be drawing 3 cards a turn, essentially, because 2 of our cards every single turn is going to be Purifying Cleanse with Holdover. So I don't think I actually want that. I think it's a little bit too much. Let's see. I'm just going to check out the Merchant. Let's see what he's got. Alright, upgrade a spell to cost -1 Ember. That's nice. Upgrade a spell to remove Consume and cost +1, or upgrade a spell with +20 magic power and Consume. Alright, if we were going to make something cost less, I mean, this is an obvious target. But what else? We don't have anything that has Consume right now. We only have 110 coins, so we can't get everything. The B1 Nasty says, have they mentioned anything about adding controller support? No, I haven't mentioned anything today, but I can tell you that we are working on it. It is not in this update, Friends and Foes, but will be coming in the future. So we will be adding controller support to the game. All right. What do I want to do? Yeah, I'll put it on there. It's one more spell we can cast. Okay, that's probably all I'm going to do. I'm going to purge a card, too. I'm going to get rid of a Train Steward. We've got too many of those. We don't need it. Let's try to keep our deck lean and mean. And let's see what we get at the Concealed Caverns. Ooh. We can take... Alright, so Remains of the... I'll read it. I haven't done the dramatic readings in a while, but since we have some new people, I think, let's do it. Remains of the once great Rail of the Covenant litter the landscape. One of the rail spikes still contains some lingering power. You could take it and use it on one of your units, or enhance your own magical prowess. Do you take the rail spike? Dun dun dun. All right. So we can take Monster Rail Spike, which upgrades our units. It gives them plus 20, plus 20, plus 20 attack, plus 20 health, and adds Purge. This is worth looking at because this is a common source of confusion that there's a bug in the game that your unit is permanently gone. That's what Purge does. So that's by design. Purge. Once played, this card is removed from your deck for the rest of the run. So if a card is purged, it is permanently removed. So this is a big upgrade for one of your units, but it also means you can only play them one more time in the entire game. So I think for me right now, I probably would not play that on Titan Sentry or Cold Salia. I'd play it on a Train Steward. It'll make it a beefy Train Steward, but it'll also mean he's purged from my deck, which I kind of want to get rid of my Train Stewards anyways, since I have a heavily spell-focused kind of strategy here. The other thing I could take, though, is Spell Rail Spike. Increase magic power by 20 and add Purge. Reduce cost to 0. So adding Purge to one of my spells is okay. I mean, I've got a lot of foregone power, which maybe I've got too many of. I don't know if I can add magic power to foregone power, though, since it doesn't deal damage. I could definitely do it to Helical Crystallis. K-Blaze 009 asks, when are we getting an expansion dedicated to the poor Train Steward? Yes. He needs some love, doesn't he? It's by far the most purged card in the game, for good reason. I mean, it's designed to be purged, right? It's a early game card just to help you get you on your feet as the run starts. Yeah. What is your purpose in life, Train Steward? To be purged from decks in Monster Train. It's a robot, though, so you don't have to feel too bad. It's not a sentient being. All right. Some kind of magical hell robot with a flame head. So I don't feel too bad about purging him all the time. All right. Spell Rail Spike. Let's see. What are my options with that? Interesting. I could put it on Purifying Cleanse, but that would not be a good idea. I don't know. I think I'm going to put it on a Train Steward. I'm going to take Monster Rail Spike on a Train Steward and just try to get him out of my deck. Just as a free purge, nearly. Okay, let's do that. Alright, here's Talos, one of the new bosses in the update. She has a Slay trigger. When she kills something, gain armor 15. And one of the unique things is all of these are like called flying bosses. That's what the dev team calls them, at least. Because they fly outside of your train. I didn't read that. We'll go back and look at that. And the flying bosses can freely move up and down into different rooms. But usually they don't attack. They do like different abilities, the ones in the original game before this update, before the Friends and Foes update. They move around and they like cast spells, but they don't actually attack. Talos attacks immediately. So from turn 1, if I place a unit in this room, she will attack it. So we have to stay mindful of that. All right. The other thing is all of these bosses have a sin that is always enabled. So this is Empowering Offense. Enemy units enter with Rage 2. So Rage is an ability that boosts their attack. These guys, Clergymen, already enter with Rage, and they got even more Rage. So they are currently dealing 9 damage each. So there's quite a bit of damage. Like, I can't play Soul Guard here. He'll be dead. Unless I kill these guys, which it looks like I actually could. So, however, all these other guys are going to be entering with Rage too. So let's not do that. We have to be careful here because Talos does 10 damage. So this, I'm going to try this. This is definitely going to be a risk. We'll play Cold Salia. We'll do Helical Crystallis, and we'll Flash Freeze her. So she did some good damage right there, and she's got some Frostbite. She's going to take more in a second here, but I'm like really hoping we're going to draw a Purifying Cleanse on this next turn, because if we don't, we're going to be in trouble. So that was definitely a risky play to try to get some early damage onto Talos. So we didn't. So he's going to die for sure. I mean, we do have Primitive Mold to reform him. I'm pretty sure his shard stacks clear. Not 100% sure, so we'll see. All right, I'm going to play that Train Steward. He's been purged from my deck, so now I only have 2 in my deck. All right. I was thinking of protecting him with this guy as a chump blocker, but then she'll gain armor because of her Slay triggers, so I don't want to do that. I'm just casting these here to build up more shard. Well, maybe that was pointless because he's dead anyways. Yeah, I probably should have cast those on... Oof. Probably should have cast those on Talos. Let's see what happens here. Alright, so there's... Okay, so we only have one unit. So, in my consume pile, because he's dead. So that's where dead units go in Monster Train. They go into the consume pile. Cards that have been removed from your deck for the remainder of battle. But Primitive Mold is fine. A random unit. Well, there's only one unit to target, so we know who we're going to get for sure. Okay, there he is. So, reforming a unit says what it does in the tooltip. It gives it +5 attack, +5 life, and makes its Ember cost 0, but it adds Burnout 1. So Burnout 1 means he's going to go away in 1 turn, but we did draw our Purifying Cleanse, so we can start stacking that up. So he's okay. He is going to live. Since we have enough Ember, let's just keep casting these, build up some more Shard. There we go. That felt good. Let's see. Nope, now we can really start packing on some Purifying Cleanse there. Alright. I'm just going to play this Trade Steward down here just to let him die, because I don't want to draw him anymore. He's not really like doing anything useful for my deck during this battle. So I just want to not draw him as a card, so let's get him out of there. Got another nice little chunk of damage on Talos. 100 life. Looks like she's going down. There's our heal. Okay, so Soulguard's going to die. Do we want to reform this Train Steward right now? Yes or no? That's my question, I guess. Yeah, might as well. Get him out of there. There we go. He's going to die there. And then I will see. Nope, didn't get that. Alright. There's no real point to build up the shard, but I'll just do it. Okay, it's looking good, though. I mean, Talos has got a lot of Frostbite. Boom, boom, boom. I'm pretty sure we can just hit end turn and just win the battle, but let's cast some spells just for fun. Because she already has so much Frostbite stacked up. She's toast. Alright. Cool. Got some more coins. Rare. We got a rare card. You only get 2 rare card drafts usually in a run of Monster Train. They're after the Ring 3 flying boss and the Ring 6 flying boss. So our options here: Siren Song, Pyrebound. Pyrebound is a keyword, means it can only be cast in the Pyre room and the room below it. Ascend enemy units. So this is one of the cool things in Monster Train we haven't seen in this run. You as the player both get to deploy your units in different rooms, but you can also move your units and enemy units up and down during your turn by casting spells and other types of effects. So this is a pretty interesting one. So it ascends enemy units, it pulls them up, and applies Dazed 3. So you can pull them into your Pyre room to get killed by your Pyre, basically, is the idea. Because Dazed means they will not be able to attack. All right, and we've got Ice and Pyre. Also Pyrebound, attuned, so this now scales better as of the Friends and Foes update into the late game. Deal 90 damage to the front enemy unit. It's a good amount of damage. Late game enemy units do have more than 90 health at times, though, so you still would want to buff this. And we got Sacrificial Resurrection. Consume cards in hand. Add a draft unit to your hand and apply +10 attack for each card consumed. Interesting. If we use, if we get lucky and we're able to use that to, get rid of some of the copies of Primitive Mold and Foregone Power, we might be able to kind of dynamically build an even stronger deck that allows us to pull the things we really need faster. Let's give it a shot. This is going to be a weirder one. All right, and we got a unit draft. Titan Sentry, we already have him. I'm not going to get another one. We got Lodestone Totem. And can't apply Sap 1 to enemy units. Now cost 3 Ember. Sap is really good. Decreases their attack. We could play this in the same room as our champion, which would extend his power even further. Yeah, I think it's a good pick. It costs 3 Ember, though, which is a hefty price. That's the challenge. Let's give it a shot. All right. And after the 2 flying bosses at Ring 3 and Ring 6, you get to choose a major enhancement for your train, which is an artifact. We can choose +1 Ember every turn, +1 card every turn, or +1 capacity on each floor. I think I'm definitely not going for that. And then every single one of these kind of scales up your pyre a bit, so +10 attack and +30 health. So I'm thinking, like, we might want to go for Ember because we just took, specifically because we took Lodestone Totem. If not for that, I was going to go for card draw because our holdover Purifying Cleanse takes up one of our card draw slots every time you cast it, so we're seeing less cards that way. And we also would benefit from seeing more cards because there's more options for Seraph, our final boss, in terms of trying to strategize around his effect. Given how much I'm talking and how slow we're going, there's absolutely no way we're going to make it to Seraph on my stream because I'm ending in 15 minutes. But let's just imagine we did. I'm going to go for Fell's Remorse. Let's choose that. I want to have it be more likely I can cast my totem and be able to do something else too. So we're going to have 4 Ember per turn now. All right. So on the left, I've got the Unstable Vortex where I can purge 2 cards from my deck, get rid of 2 more cards. I could get rid of both of these Train Stewards and be down to 0 Train Stewards. It's an option. We'd also get a unit upgrade merchant. We don't have a lot of coins still. Yeah, I'm not sure what would we really care about here. And Pyre Health, which we don't need. Or we can get an artifact, a banner, which we probably won't take that unit, and the coins. And either way, we get to visit the Dark Forge again. So let's gamble on going to the right. See what happens here. So let's get the coins. See what artifact option do we get. Okay. At the end of a turn, frozen cards are reduced to 0 Ember. Well, we have no way to freeze cards right now, so that is not a great pick. And then Exploding Candle, deal 5 damage to enemy units when a burnout unit dies. We are definitely seeing burnout units die. This is another AoE damage. Let's go for Exploding Candle. And I'm pretty sure, we're really tanking hard on Soulguard the Martyr, so we could mix, like you're able to mix upgrade paths, like a kind of a mix and match strategy, which can be good sometimes. I feel for this deck that we're building, like I want to play Cold Salia behind him. I want to play Lodestone Totem behind Soulguard, so we want to tank him up. So I think I'm just going to stick with Cold Channel and not mix with Dire Channel this time. Do I want either of these guys? Well, I do. That greed. Give me the money. I like Parathin Thug. He dies easily, but we can reform him. And every time he dies, we get Exploding Candle. So, what the hell? Let's go for it. Let's give it a shot. All right. 4th Ring of Hell. The Clipped Tormentors. This guy gets stronger as he climbs your train. Triggers after combat. We can get 150 coins by taking the trial. Let's do it. We've got a lot of Pyre health right now, so it's a resource. Like, if our Pyre health goes to 0, we lose the run, but that doesn't mean we have to keep it topped off at 100%. So we already have 100%. Like, we can take some damage on our Pyre, and it's not the end of the world. So, all right, let's do this guy. I definitely want to play my Lodestone Totem here. There's it's a trade-off. Like, in fact, if I play a spell here, this guy's going to get sapped, and since his attack is already so low, he's going to get sapped down to 0, and he won't attack, which then means Soulguard's Revenge ability will not trigger, which we kind of wanted to, right, to start dealing some Frostbite to these guys. So there's like a little bit of a double-edged sword. However, for higher attack enemies, like sapping them down low, especially for bosses, is very strong, so I'm still overall happy with that. I don't think this Thug is going to get a kill down here because there's too much armor on these guys. So I'm actually going to play him up here, which gives him more of a chance to actually deal some damage. We're not going to deal any damage here, so this is it's going to be a slow start. But thankfully, this Absolver, he got silenced by Sigiled Seaweed because this guy is super annoying. He normally summons a junk card called Weight of Contrition. The junk term, I don't think, is an official game term. I think they're called Scourges. Our team calls them junk cards, but which kind of just clogs up your deck and deals damage to you. It's no good. It's no good. All right, so what do we want to do here? A bunch of options. I am probably going to flash freeze the collector because I want the gold. So let's just get that out of the way. I think I want to play Cold Salia down here as well. Then the question is, do I want to play Sacrificial Resurrection right now? I'm going to lose one of my Purifying Cleanses, but that might be okay. Let's try it. I'm feeling good about this battle overall. So we got a giraffe with extra attack. These two cards are in our consume pile, so we can't use them for the rest of combat. He has very low attack. I mean, he's got 5 health, so he'll survive with 1 attack damage. I mean, I'll play him here. He's going to die. He's going to go into the consume pile, but then we can resurrect him. And because he's died, he also did his AoE damage explosion. This Absolver was not silenced, so he is going to trigger his ability if we don't do something about that. Do I want to play the Titan Sentry here? Yeah, I'd say let's do that. Alright. So we're going to get that coin from the Paraffin Thug, so that's awesome. Let's cast this, and then we'll do 2 of these. So those guys did get sapped down to 0, so kind of a funny strategy. Maybe not perfect, but it will be good against bosses. The fact that I didn't pay attention to the sapping there, like that those guys had no attack at the end, means that Soulguard again doesn't trigger his revenge. So because this Absolver's not dead and he's not silenced, we got a Weight of Contrition this turn, unfortunately. Oh yeah, let's definitely cast Primitive Mold. So now we've got an even beefier giraffe here. He can survive these guys' attack. He's going to kill both of them, too. Let's see. What else? Last question. All right. Cricket. How can I stop myself from playing the game when I should be working? That is tough. That's tough for the dev team, too. Yeah, I mean, I've played a lot of Monster Train. Let's put it that way. And when the game started to get really fun, sometimes I just wanted to sit there and play it and not work. So it happens. It happens to all of us. All right, do I want to start Purifying Cleanse this guy? I think I might as well. Let's start stacking up the shard a bit more. Let's cast that to get rid of it. Do I even want to play this Train Steward? Let's get it out of my hand. All right, that's good. We are going to take some pyre damage here. We were not able to get all of these enemies out of here. But that's okay. We gotta keep casting that now. Okay, we can cast all of these spells just to build up more shard, which will stack up our... Ooh, that was cool. I like that exploding candle. That's working nicely for me. Alright, Purifying Cleanse again. I think we want to use helical crystals, yes. Alright, well, it looks like we've won, basically. We're going to get a lot of frostbite here. Ooh, we got some more gold right there, too. That was nice. We have a lot of frostbite stacked up on this guy. 42, 57, 60, 59. Boom. Cold channel path's pretty good. Yeah, for new viewers, though, I am playing on the easiest mode of the game, so we don't have something called the Covenant enabled. The Covenant is a game mechanic where it increases the difficulty over time. There's 25 levels of it. You have to progressively unlock them. So I'm on Covenant 0, we call it on the dev team, so no Covenant, which means it is going to be on the easier side in comparison to harder levels. All right, we've got a pick here, a pick. Mollusk Mage. Do we want Mollusk Mage? +7 magic power on this floor. Magic power is good, but we don't, like, we're so all in on Frostbite, we actually don't have that much that combos with it. Frenzied Swarm. Apply Dazed 1 to enemy units and discard your hand. Daze is kind of an anti-synergy with revenge triggers, somewhat similar to Sap, but Sap is still really good against bosses, so I'm still happy with my decision there. Guardian Stone, can't apply armor. Nah, I don't think I want them. I mean, it would keep our buddy Soul Guard healthier longer, but we need to use the capacity space for Lodestone Totem in that room, so I'm just gonna, I think I'm gonna skip it. I mean, Frenzied Swarm, not bad, but I don't know. All right, and from our allied clan, Wicked Blaze, reform a unit and apply an additional +10, which is nice. Memento Mori, deal damage to the front enemy unit equal to 10x the number of friendly unit deaths this battle. That's not going to combo well our current, like, I don't know, we're not having enough units die fast enough. And Remnant Host, extinguish, summon 2 drafts. That's not bad. Yeah. This is good also because they explode with Exploding Candle. Let's try Remnant Host. All right. I'm going to have to end my stream here in just a second. So I'm going to go to the right just because I want to see, without even really thinking, I want to see what my artifact is. So, all right, Wing Steel. When you play your 3rd card of the turn, draw 1. That's definitely a good artifact. An Icicle Fracture. At the end of a turn, apply Frozen to a random card in your hand. So that is one of the combo makers for that other artifact we skipped before related to Frozen, unfortunately. So it could still be okay. But Wing Steel is pretty good. We're casting a lot of cards. We've got Ember, we've got more Ember, and we've got a bunch of 0-cost things, so I think I would go for Wing Steel. And if we're going to duplicate a card, at this point, what do I think I would duplicate? I might duplicate Flash Freeze for its utility, since it's a direct target onto anything. Ideally, that would be upgraded first, but yeah, let's do that. All right. Well, I think I'm going to wrap it up for now. That was Friends and Foes, our new update for Monster Train. It adds new champions, new bosses, a whole bunch of awesome new stuff. If you're a new player to the game, it's a great time to buy. We're 20% off right now for a special sale for the next few days. I'm not sure how many days, but it's not for a super long period of time. So it's a good time to pick up the game if you're interested and haven't yet. Yeah, I hope you like the stream, and we have Amy coming up next after me to show off more of the game from a different perspective. So thanks for being with me, and see you next time.